it's not a day. It's not a day where I hang on. Let's get the good sound going. I'm half asleep, aren't I? Half asleep this morning. The microphone should be working now. I turned the wrong microphone on, number one. Mistake number two, I didn't even plug it in. But it's working at the moment, but I'll plug it in so we can get better sound. Ah. Look at that, I even have jeans on this morning. I was going to wear my pajama flannel pants. Lucky I didn't do that because you would have all seen my beautiful pajama flannels. Hang on. Oh, it's too funny. I did turn the volume up, but I turned the wrong microphone up. Dearie me, that should be better. Should be clearer. I got the microphone actually plugged in now. It's a crazy thing, you know. I'm so busy with all these different things from, you know, I do my own marketing for Easy Way Photography. I obviously do the YouTube show and I answer all my own emails and I do all that sort of stuff. So I'm just constantly on the edge of stuffing stuff up in some sort of way or another. And, you know, I think to be doing these kind of things that I'm currently doing, you got to kind of just run with the flow with that. I mean, I am a perfectionist and I used to be really scared of making mistakes, but the more I do this, I'm not so scared of those mistakes anymore. All right. That's why we log on. Jane's having a good laugh. Everyone's having a good laugh. That's good. Look, if I was perfect, it wouldn't be anywhere near as fun or funny, would it? And lucky I have the comments up on the screen here so I can see all you guys flashing up those comments and tagging me saying, no sound, what are you doing, you fool? Great to hear my voice. Yeah, it's better than me doing these ones, isn't it? All right. Okay, a couple of things before we get started. As I said, you know, if you've got a laugh, if you're sitting at home having a good laugh about that, well, hit the like button. It's worth it already, isn't it? Surely it's worth the like already, all that fun. If you're new, well, look what you got to look forward to. This is what we do most days. We have a bit of fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we do some really cool fun stuff in Photoshop and we get some really interesting, inspirational photographers on to inspire us all to achieve great things. As yet, I'm yet to really stuff up. Oh no, I did, yeah, with Ignacio. We had that incredible, awesome loop. Who remembers that wicked loop that we had when Ignacio was looping over and over again saying, I love talking about my work. I love talking about my work. Absolutely perfect. What a stitch up. Tom Putt. Yeah, okay. All right, what do we got going on here? Shows you're human. Yeah, look, I'm not fussed. If I was fussed, I wouldn't be doing this, would I? I don't think you can do live, you know, and be too fussed about making mistakes. It just happens. It's part of the thing. All right, there's a couple of things in the description that you might want to check out. Of course, as normal, there is my most popular Photoshop course, which is currently set to, and look, I might change this soon. So if you're thinking about signing up, it's currently set to pay whatever price you like. So have a look at that in the description. That's down there. If you find this particular tutorial a little bit too advanced, or you're not really comfortable with layers and masks, then absolutely jump down there, sign up for that, and you can choose to pay whatever you like, $1, $2, or if you can't afford anything, just grab it for free. Just put 0 in the cart there, and you can have it for free. It's the last day of the 15% off Nissi filter special that Nissi put on us, or gave us because of the photo competition final we had. When was that? Was that last Friday? I think it was. It was an incredible day, 3-hour session. Tom Putt, you were incredible. Paul Holan, incredible as well. And you know, I was just filling in the gaps a bit, but so much great knowledge throughout that. It was a long video, 3 hours, absolutely, but I think it's one of the most valuable resources on the channel currently. So, you know, if you can spare, break it up into 3 sections, an hour each, watch it one night a week or something or other, and you'll pick up some really great stuff in there. The Aussie accent. Terry only logs on to hear the Aussie accent and a bit of foolish behaviour of the microphone not working and this and that not working, and oh, it's good stuff. Ness says, for anyone that hasn't yet signed up for Adam's course, do it. It's awesome. Easy to follow, Ness. Thanks, Ness. Checks in the mail. No, not really. She's doing that all on her own bat there. Uh, all right, all right. Good to see you here, Tom. And all the other regulars, you know, how many people have we got? Let me have a look here quickly, just ducking away from the camera. We had a good start, didn't we? 130, that's pretty good. That's a great start. So, you know, hit the share button, hit the like button, and we'll get into this. We should do some actual Photoshop, shouldn't we? Let me switch over cameras so I can show you what we're doing today. Here we go. This is what we're going to be doing today. It's a fun one. We're not going to do exactly the same thing. And in actual fact, it's a bit of a gamble, but I've already got the failures out of the way this morning, so hopefully that's all there was to it. It's a bit of a gamble because of the fact that, number one, I did this a long time ago. Number two, originally I created this with stock photography, and today we're creating it with my own images. What do we feel about stock photography? I don't have any creative boundaries really, but when it comes to stock photography, yeah, there's a bit of a stigma, isn't there? There's a bit of a stigma around creating, what do we call it? Photo manipulation art from stock photography. Can you still call yourself a photographer if you don't take the photos? I don't know. Maybe if you take some of the photos? There certainly is some stigma. And let me know in the comments whether you think that shooting with stock photography or incorporating stock photography is all right from an artistic point of view. Look, I think it is. And it's based on your own, what you're comfortable with. If you're completely comfortable with it, then go and do it and don't listen to anyone else. To be honest, it's about the only thing that I'm not 100% comfortable with or 100% sure of in my own art is using stock photography. And I actually put this together as a bit of a testing the boundaries. And when I put it out to social media, I was, full disclosure, told everyone that it was made up 100% of stock photos. And there was some mixed reactions, to be honest. A lot of people didn't care, but some people did. So that's kind of always, you cannot. Here we go. So absolutely, there's really strong beliefs and whatnot with stock photos, isn't there? Birdie says you cannot use stock photos. I feel like I'm getting in trouble from the principal. Cannot use stock photos. I don't know. I don't know if it's that cut and dry. I think you can, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, as I said, I still feel the stigma, and I'm trying to be completely creatively free in my workflow, which means not being influenced by the opinions of others. But when it comes to stock photography, I'm still a bit sheepish. And I don't have any plans of using it in the future, but yeah. Everett Birdie, again, really getting down, drilling down. Everything must be your own photos when entering. Well, absolutely, I agree with that, Birdie. It must be your own photos when entering competitions. And in fact, the rules will state that they have to be your own photos within competitions. But not all artists are creating work for competitions there, are they? So it's not all about the competition side of things. Terry says, I prefer not to use stock since I feel it's kind of a crutch. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that has drawn me to experimenting with it because it's easy access to the photo that you need. Stock has all the photos that you need, but then does that take away some of the persistence and skill required in capturing in the first place? Yeah, absolutely it does. And patience and hard work. Okay, so we'll leave it there. It's an interesting topic, isn't it? We're going to use all my own images today for this particular example. It's a bit of a gamble because I haven't practiced it, so hopefully we can put it all together without too much drama. Tom Putt, stop biting your tongue and spill the beans. Yeah, look, I think most photographers have a problem with stock. On some level, there's a lot of stigma. Yeah, Steph, each competition does have clear rules. I think Sue Ellen uses all her own photos. She says, I think taking your own photos is a fair bit of creative fun. Using stock photos takes that fun away. But if you can't get out and take photos, why not use stock? Well, that's a really good point, actually. You know, if there's certain factors that stop you from going and getting the particular photos that you need, should you not create art just because the only way you can do it is using stock? And I think, look, creating art is better than not creating art. So if the only way that you're going to be able to create art is to use stock photography, go ahead and do it. You need to look up the different licensing terms and how you're allowed to use those stock images. And it's very, very complex because there's all sorts of different rules about if you manipulate an image in a certain way, then, you may not need to license the image. But, I think, yeah, certainly look into that. It's very complex. Graham says he feels you must at least take the base image. I think you probably, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, take the most significant images yourself. But then again, as I said, creating art is better than not creating art. So if it's the only way that you can create photographic art is to use stock photography, then I don't see a problem with that. Good way to practice. All right, shall we do it? In the description again is the link to the download files. It's always the same Dropbox folder. So I've now included another Dropbox folder if you already had that link. It is called Surreal, I think. No, it's called Photo Manipulation in that Dropbox link that you've got. If you've already got that, just go back to that link. Download these 3 photos here. We're using this one. I took this one, I think it was up around at a restaurant in Mackay. They had these beautiful lights and I thought, I need one of those lights to recreate the photo that I'd already created at the time using stock. So we'll use that. You can see we've got those beautiful light globes. So we got the light there. We're going to use a dry cracked clay pan. In the original here, I used a stock photo of, what's that salt lake? Is it Salada Uni or I'm pronouncing that terribly, I'm sure of it. But I think it's in South America, that big, beautiful salt lake with the hexagon patterns. Ignacio, you won't be watching. But if you are, Ignacio, tell us what that salt lake is called. Tom Putt probably knows as well. He's probably been there. Yeah, Ray. Yeah, absolutely. I know of that competition, the AIPP controversy that was caused by stock images, but it wasn't caused by stock images. It was caused by someone breaking the rules, essentially. There's no rules in everyday art for using stock photography, but there is in photo competitions, and we need to be aware of that for sure. Okay, and then of course we've got this Astro image that we've used a bunch of times before. So if you're going to follow along, download those. It might be best to watch the video along in live and then come back and download and try and follow along later if you like. Everyone's got a different opinion. It's a good one. Tom's like, hey, I heard my name. We're talking about stock photography, Tom. Everyone's got an opinion on stock photography. It's a funny one. It causes a lot of controversy. And look, if you're going to use stock, I would say, probably full disclosure, because people, if you're going to suggest that they're your own images and then get found out, that's where the problem comes, I think. Even though I don't like to generally disclose what I'm doing, if somebody asks, I'll always, tell them the truth. Birdie, ready. Image is open, ready to go. Is that a hint? Get on with it, Adam. Get on with it. All right. I'm kind of stalling because I'm a bit nervous about this one. Can you tell? Let's choose a background. Click on the background image. We'll use this one. I'll just zoom back a little bit. Command or Control minus. We'll use this one for our background. Let's clean it up a little bit and then add the stars, and then we'll try and get the coloring and everything right so the background's pretty much ready to go. Let's do that. So first of all, let's add a blank layer. Just add a blank layer down over bottom right corner near the trash can. Looks like a little blank page with the corner turned up. We'll use that to remove some of these bits and pieces. I don't want all these pebbles and rocks. So we've got a blank layer. We click on the dust. What's it called? What's this one called? Spot healing brush, is it? Hello. Why aren't you showing me what you are? Spot healing brush tool. J for jelly bean as the keyboard shortcut. And all of the setup for this particular tool, I won't go into the intricate details of how to set it up and the spacing and the hardness of the brush, etc., etc. They're all in the Photoshop course down below, which you can pick up for free if you're doing it tough, or a couple of dollars, or whatever you feel like you can afford is much, much appreciated. And thank you for those. There's been some really generous donations via that course, and in actual fact, other people have contacted me and made donations just as a thank you as well. So a big shout out for everyone that's watching along and everyone that's signed up for the course or given a donation. It all really, really helps to continue what I'm doing here. All right, spot healing brush. The one thing I will mention, move along the top here and make sure sample all layers is selected. That will allow us to do the spot healing onto a blank layer, which is what we want. And we'll just bump out, just dot out some of these little rocks because I don't think they're part of the story. We want a nice clean background. There's a few techniques we're going to learn today. This is probably the most boring of them. Spot healing brush. I'm sure most of you know how to do that, but take as many or as few of those out as you like. We might even take out that section too. A couple down here. Looking good. All right, let's get those astro stars going. Grab that astro. Where's that astro? Astro here. Before we do, let's play with the astro a little bit. Do you remember when we watched Andy Campbell, the astro photography presentation? I've lost all track of days, haven't I? I can't even remember what day that was. But we all remember Andy Campbell. It was an incredible presentation. I think it was last Tuesday. Might have been last Tuesday. Anyway, do you remember that some of the stars had these beautiful cross points, like star points? And Andy said that was because of the particular, I think, telescope he was using, and it had a filter holder or something that was in a cross shape that was causing that, that look to some of the brighter stars. I love it, and you'll see I kind of use that, if we zoom in here, you know, back on some of these stars here. And you can see in actual fact, some of these stars look a little bit unrealistic, and we could, well, not unrealistic, a little bit too good to be true, if you like. And we can probably jazz up our own astro image a little bit like that too. Let's try. Let's see what happens. Okay. What we can do, we might create a few slightly bigger stars. I don't even know if this is going to be, if this is going to work, to be honest, but let's try. Let's try. Let's go. No, we won't go solid color. We're going to go blank layer as well. Click on a blank layer, same as what we did before. Jeff Weber, can I Dropbox? He'll have to email me, Jeff. The problem is I can't just post the Dropbox link for a couple of reasons. Number one, part of doing the, and full disclosure here, part of doing this YouTube channel is to have a lot of those people come in and sign up to my email list, because then I can continually give more tips and hopefully sell a few courses. So the only obstruction or the reason that I have that email sign up is so that people sign up through, and you need to keep that link safe because unfortunately you can only sign up once. But send me an email and I'll make sure that you get that email link if you've already had it and lost it, because you won't be able to sign up again. But I'm sorry about that slight obstruction, I suppose, to getting those Dropbox images, but it is there for a marketing purpose, for my own purposes, to build my email list. I'm sure you all understand that I need to, you know, do that to add value to the hour or two that I'm spending here doing this. But yeah, if you can't access that Dropbox link, just email me and I'll sort it out for you. Okay, so we've got a blank layer here. I'm going to come over here to my brush and make sure you have a white brush. We're going to click on this little default to change the brush colors to pure black, pure white, and then switch it over so white's on top. Let me just do something here. I got a funny feeling that the comments aren't working for me, and they're old comments. Let me have a look. Just refresh them here. Is that the case? It was the case. It was the case. Andy Woodman says, oops, I don't know, what happened? Are we still coming clear here? Hopefully we are. Yeah, bookmark the Dropbox link. That's a good idea, Bertie. Once you have it, I know it's not necessarily all that clear. I think it's in the original email suggesting that this is the same link, so make sure you keep it safe. But yeah, bookmark that. But if you don't have it, email me and I'll directly link you to that. Cheryl, hey Cheryl, how you doing? Okay, back to the tutorial. Back to the tutorial. B for brush. Let's press B for brush. B for brush. Okay, so we're going to set the opacity at 100%, the flow at 100%, and we'll make this brush a little bit smaller. And what we're going to do is dot in a few bigger stars, okay? We're going to dot in, oh good, still clear, Gail, that's great. We'll dot in a few bigger stars with this white brush. So you can see like this one here. Let's just, yep, that looks good. And then change the brush size just slightly bigger. You know, the big stars that are already there, we'll make them a little bit brighter like this, some of the bigger ones. And then that's about all the big ones. Let's go a little bit smaller on the brush and then do some of those medium ones. As I said, I've never done this before. We'll see what happens. Up here, dot them around. That might do. We'll see if it works. Maybe we could do more. Robin, it says that's a good way to boost the email list. Yeah, it's just a little, I mean, it's a great little tutorial and well, these tutorials tend to be high value. Just to give your email list, and the email list is great anyway. There's lots of tips on there, so don't be afraid signing up. I don't do a lot of overt marketing, and I certainly don't share your email list with anybody else. Okay, it's only ever going to stay within my own email list, so there's really no downside to signing up. Okay, let's see what happens here. We're going to merge these layers together. On my Mac, it will be Command Option Shift, hold them down, and then press E for everything. On a PC, that will be Control Alt Shift, hold those down, and press E for everything. That will merge them together. Okay, now what we're going to do, add a curves layer. This will make sense when we get there. We're going to try and make some star points. Add a curves layer. Grab the little black slider up here in the properties panel of that curves layer and make everything black except the stars. Just like that. So you can see actually the histogram here really tapers off right in the middle. Drag the black point up to the base of where that histogram comes back down, and then you'll have mostly everything in black except the stars just peeking through, and we'll add some blur to create those cross points now. Yeah, I think this will work. Right click, we're just winging it here. Right click on that curves layer and select merge down. Yes, that worked. Okay, now we have this very dark layer which we can use to blur those star points out. So let's go and do that. In fact, we'll make a duplicate. Command or Control J for Jelly Bean. We'll make a duplicate and we'll double click on the top one here. This one we'll call vertical. Vertical, not vertically. We know I'm not a great speller, so, you know, this is testing me. Spelling and sounding it out as I go. I sound like my 5-year-old son when it comes to spelling. Anyway, I think we got there. Next, let's move up to the filter menu. Oh, look, we could convert for smart filters, but I think we'll just wing it. Let's go blur, motion blur. And this is horizontal, so we want to move, oh actually, sorry, bear with me. Cancel out of that, turn vertical off so we can see the horizontal layer when we blur it. Back up to the filter menu, blur, motion blur. And you can see they're blurring vertically. I actually want this one to be horizontal, so we can probably highlight the angle here, type in 0. That's looking pretty good. Up and down, side to side. Yeah, up and down, side to side. It's easier to spell, Ness, 100% than vertical and horizontal. Up and down, side to side. Okay, I think we're going to blur these not too much to begin with, because if you blur it all in one go, what tends to happen is, see they're very, I don't know, lineal. They just kind of stretch and the ends don't really taper off. So what I'm trying to do is get some taper. So what we might do is just say blur 30 pixels. Let's try that. Click OK. Okay, and then come back up to the filter menu. And right at the very top will be the last filter that we use. Click it again, and that will blur 30 pixels sideways, side to side again. Ah, that's better, isn't it? See how we're getting that star point now? Go again, filter, motion blur, and we can probably go another couple of times. One more. That's better. It's pretty good. And you can see we're only really keeping most of those really large stars in, which is good. We don't want all the stars because it will get too busy if we have all the stars. I think it will get too busy. Now, let's go and change the blend mode of that to screen. Okay, you can see that starting to happen, hopefully. Click on the vertical one, we'll do the same. Vertical being the up and down one. Okay, this time we need to go to blur, motion blur, and change the filter to up and down, 90 degrees. 90 degrees. And of course, you could do this side to side by using 45 degrees if you wanted to. We'll stick with 30, a distance of 30 degrees blur, click OK, and we redid it 4 more times, so a total of 5. Declan, congrats on the win at the competition on Friday, Declan. He says he can't spell either. Maybe it's an artist thing. Not suggesting that if you can spell that you're not an artist, of course, but I'm just making excuses for my own spelling. Okay, so motion blur, one more time. Perfect, motion blur. And look, play with the blur. I think if you wanted longer star points, maybe go 60 points of blur to start with. And I'm thinking now that might be even better, but we'll see. Second time, 2 more, 1 more. Okay, and then change the blend mode of this one to screen also. And if we zoom in, you can see we're getting some nice little star points there, which look kind of cool. All right, we might even be able to just brighten them up a fraction. Let's come down to horizontal, click curves. We'll use the clipping icon to clip this curves layer down to the horizontal layer. You can hold down Option or Alt and hover between those 2 layers as well. And again, if you're losing track and struggling to keep up, then absolutely setting up a great Photoshop knowledge base platform to build off and to learn off is a great idea. So my beginner Photoshop course would be a great start to start building that Photoshop knowledge so that you can naturally come in and do these things without too much hassle. So we've clipped that curves layer down, hold Option or Alt to clip that down if you like, and we should be able to just brighten up the horizontal. Yep, we can. Well, you see if we brighten up too much, it gets a little bit over the top, doesn't it? A little bit too much. So something like that. And then we can press Command or Control J for Jelly Bean, which will duplicate that layer. That will put another brightening layer on top. We'll drag it, just click and hold down and drag right to the top of the stack. See that little blue line sitting at the top of the stack? When you see that, let go. And then clip this layer, so it's exactly the same as the other layer. We'll clip it to vertical. Do we think that's just a bit much? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. Maybe we could just lower the opacity down to about 80%, 75% on both of those layers. Oh, 75, 75. Yeah, Jane, absolutely. Jane says you might need to do different lengths for different size stars. Yeah, you could come back and do the bigger stars a bit longer and or even just brush out some of the other stars. Yeah, absolutely, you could do that. Spend as much time as you like really refining this. Leonie, the ex-teacher. I get a lot of ex-teachers actually. It's quite funny. When I do a PowerPoint presentation, I'll get a few emails the next day correcting all my spelling and grammar mistakes, which is fantastic because I can improve that presentation so it's more professional the next time around. But if you ever see a brand new presentation of mine, you will absolutely, more than likely, spot a few mistakes in there. And look, I try my best, absolute best, to correct all those, but sometimes I miss them and they get through. Computers should do all the spelling these days. Yeah, they go pretty good. All right, that's pretty good. Click on the top layer again and we'll merge that together so that then we can move that layer over to our background. Once again on a Mac, Command, Option, Shift, E for everything. On a PC, Control, Alt, Shift, hold them down, E for everything. And we can now, well, we can press Command or Control A, Command or Control C, that will work. Or you can, in actual fact, just with your mouse, click on the layer there, which is the top layer, layer 2, drag it up to the background and drop it on top. All right, just like that, easy as that. Grab the Move tool. Oh, it's a little bit smaller, isn't it? Okay, before we mess around with this too much, click on the Crop tool and I'll just make the canvas a little bit bigger. We'll zoom back a little, Command or Control minus. Crop tool. Why is that giving me a funky crop like that? I don't know. Clear that. I have my YouTube crop in there. I don't need any more to the side really, a little bit maybe. We'll just come up like that. Click OK. Ness says she used to make deliberate mistakes to see who was reading what was there. Yeah, good point. See who was on the ball. That's what I do too. That's exactly what I do. Not really. Okay. We've got these beautiful stars. Look, we might look at rotating this around too. Command or Control T. And then if we come just outside that free transform box, we can, do we want the Milky Way much like it was in the original photo, which was more horizontal? Maybe we do. Maybe we do. We can stretch that a little bit bigger. Ah, but if we do that, then our stars are all weird, aren't they? They're all at 45 degrees. I should have thought about that before we did the stars. Okay, for this example, if you're following along, you can rotate your Milky Way to whichever direction you like, but keep in mind if you do that, you might want to redo the stars later. For this example, we'll just leave it as is because it's easier and we don't have to go back and redo it. But you can use the same technique to do the star points, but just rotate your sky first if you're going to rotate that sky. Okay. As you can see, the toing and froing of surrealist photo manipulation is a bit like that. And if I was doing it for myself, I think I probably would rotate that Milky Way around to give it more of a straight looking, you know, so it was more like that. I quite like. Yeah, we could have 45-degree star points too. Okay, we'll leave it like that though. All right, next. Let's lower the, what I want to do, I'll turn that off for a second, is I want the stars to come down and cover up this section of the horizon because I don't want those trees on the horizon. They're a bit of a distraction and a bit of an unnecessary element in my opinion. So what we will do is, what's the best way to do that? I think the best way to do that is add a layer mask and then grab our graduated filter tool. Click here. What is the keyboard shortcut for that one? G, is it? Yeah, G for graduated. Click on that and then come up here to this menu and you want to choose one of the ones that is either white to black or black to white, okay? So we all have the same. Let's choose the first one, white to black. Hopefully you all have that one. Then coming along to the next one, you can see there's a whole series of options. These little options here. Click the first option. That will give you a nice graduated filter effect. And what we can do, is this going to be the best way? If I hold shift down and just drag downwards, just a fraction, just a few millimeters, fraction of an inch, we get that kind of look. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. So hold shift and just drag down a little bit and you'll get that kind of horizon point there. Now, if you don't get it perfectly like I have here, but you're happy with the amount of feather that you've got, and I am, what you can do is come over here to where we have the mask and the image and click on the paperclip so they're not attached anymore. Then click back on the image. Bit complex, isn't it? Maybe there was an easier way to do this. There probably was. Click back on the image, then press Command or Control T, and we'll be able to, having one of those days, aren't I really? Put the paperclip back on. Put the paperclip back on because I do need it attached. Command or Control T, and drag that down like so. That looks good. That's looking good. Click OK. Now, click the paperclip off. Now click the paperclip off. Click on the image, not the mask. Click on the image, Command or Control T, and we can just drag that back up to where we want it. Okay, we've got the mask where we want it. Now where do we want that horizon? I like with the Milky Way in this orientation, I like it coming from the left corner there. That looks pretty nice. Okay, perfect. Hopefully you're following along. Hopefully you're following along. I can't see any comments. Drop a comment just so I know that I can still see those comments there and everyone's doing okay. All right. What we're going to do next is we're going to click back on your blank layer. In actual fact, if we remember, I've just double clicked on it so I can change it. This is our dust removal. Well, no, it wasn't. It was our, we'll call it removal layer. It was just where we removed all those little rocks and stuff. We're going to just click on that layer, and now we're going to add a curves layer, which is just below the sky. Okay, so click on that removal layer, the blank layer, and now we can use this to sort of, too busy following. Okay, freelancer, yep, I can still see those comments, which is great. They're probably a little bit of a lag time behind when I ask that question and when I see it, but that's okay. So we've got that curves layer, and it's affecting all the layers below, but not affecting the sky, as you can see here. So what we'll do is drag the white point down so we get a more nighttime feel. Something like that. It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good, pretty good. Okay, maybe a bit too much. Just like that. And then we'll also add a photo filter. We need this to sort of tie into the sky now. Michael Moore, how you doing? Looking good? The image looking good or me looking? Either. I'm happy. We need to tie this together. Michelle, yes, the video will be available via replay as soon as we finish. So what we're going to do is add a color layer. Photo filter. And again, we want this underneath the sky. And you can see that's where it is. And the way layers work is they keep adding on top of the previous layer. So if we click on the layer below the sky, it will keep adding on underneath there. Okay, so photo filter, and I think we want a cooling filter. Ah, that looks good, doesn't it? It already looks good. We'll try all the cooling filters, see if there's a better one. No, the first one was best, I think. And we can even turn up the density a little bit. That looks nice. That looks nice, but the sky and the foreground aren't really matching together yet, are they? Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, that was a little bit better. And what we need to do, generally the sky and the foreground will have a similar tonality right at the horizon there. Okay, so you can see at the moment my foreground is very, very dark front to back or back to front. And then at the horizon is quite light here. So we need a bit of that light glow on the horizon too. What I'm thinking, my first instinct is we'll do a bit of a horizon blur to try and create that. Let's see if that will work. Click back on the top layer, and again, we'll merge our layers. Command, Option, Shift, E. On a Mac, of course, Control, Alt, Shift, D. Grab the selection, rectangular selection tool, and we'll just make a bit of a selection like so. That should do. Something like that. G'day, hey, Stabilzer Gaming. Stabilzer. Oh dear, I need some help with that one. Let me hang on. Stabilzer Gaming. Stabilzer Gaming. That's a stitch up, isn't it? Tom Putt, are you doing that? G'day, Stabilzer Gaming. Great to have you here. We do this Tuesday, Thursday. If anyone else is new as well, be sure to hit the subscribe button. At least come and watch me make a fool of myself with the microphone and pronouncing names and spelling and all sorts of stuff, if that's the kind of thing you like to do. But at the same time, we'll get around to doing a little bit of Photoshop. The cool thing is, for me, is I don't have to be too serious because at my normal workshops, it's all business. Well, it's not all business. There's a few fun and games in there, but it's mainly, you know, I want to maximize the time, but You know, really here we're just all having a bit of a social fun, sit around the coffee table, have a little chat, make some Photoshop, have some fun. So I allow myself to make some mistakes and come in unprepared because I think that's part of the creative process anyway. Just get in there and have a play. All right, so we've got that selection. Try saying stabilizer. Stabilizer. Stabilizer? Is it as easy as stabilizer? Maybe. Everyone's having a go. Stabilizer. Everyone thinks it's maybe it is stabilizer. Oh, it is stabilizer. Now that I look at it. Oh, crikey. See what I'm talking about? Stabilizer. Oh my golly gosh. Oh my golly gosh. Oh well. Let's just stick to Photoshop. Keep the name pronunciation or word pronunciation at home. Thank you. Yes, that's it. Oh, crikey, guys. I'm glad you love me for who I am because, you know, mistakes and all, warts and all, that's who I am. All right, we've got that selection. We made that selection. Let's forget about it, move on. We made that selection. Command or Control J for Jelly Bean. I'm not even going to look at the comments. Stop it. We've made that selection, and what that does is give us that little chunk there, and we're going to blur that. Okay, so blur that out. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Very sexy word, Gaussian blur. Tom Putt insists it's pronounced, pronounced with a French accent. I'm doing my best, Tom. That's looking a bit better, isn't it? Just lift that blur up till you're quite happy with that transition on the horizon. Something like that. I'm completely making it up, Gail. I make it up most days, to be honest. I really don't have time to prepare. That's the problem. Yesterday I was doing marketing all day, catching up on marketing, and I just didn't have time to prepare. So we're just winging it. I hope you don't mind. That looks pretty good though, doesn't it? I'm happier with that. We might just click back. Where's our foreground? We don't need that layer anymore. That one, layer 3, the merge. So I'm going to delete that. Just click on it and press delete or backspace. Or you can right click and delete it out of the way, or you can drag it down to the trash. Do I know there's no angry way you can say bubbles? Can't say bubbles angry. Bubbles. Bubbles. That's pretty angry. I think if I said bubbles like that to my little boy, I might give him a fright. Anyway, what are we doing today? What are we doing, guys? I'm going to add a little, stick with me. I'm sorry, it's all over the shop, isn't it? So we got that blur, come down, back down to below the sky layer again, and I want to just brighten up the foreground a fraction. Click on curves. Just a little bit like that. And then Command or Control I to invert, B for brush, and we're just going to brush that along the horizon. Making up for yesterday. Yeah, it feels like I've got like, some sort of withdrawal anxieties. Anyway, B for brush. I'm really making up going overboard, aren't I? And I'm not meaning to, it's just absolutely having a shocker. Not so much with the Photoshop, that's working pretty well. But with everything else is not real great. Change our brush back down to a opacity 35, flow 55. Anyway, we won't get any subscribers today. They'll be like, what is this? I can't watch this. I'm just going to lighten up that there a little bit. Is that working? Yeah, it is. Just trying to lighten up the horizon so that the tonal range on the horizon should be similar. It's often you get a bit of haze, distance haze from the sky and where, say, the mountains or the horizon meet. So often, and have a look at that yourself, you'll often see the tonal ranges not that dissimilar right on the horizon. I defy you, Sue Ellen, you're 100% right. You know, in a true artistic sense, I don't even know what's coming next. I'm just like, I've got an idea in my head what's next, but then I don't know the steps in Photoshop to do it. So I just have to sort of wing it and then do it in a way that everyone else can follow along. Absolutely. So we're getting there. I think this will work out pretty well. It's still a little bit too red in the foreground, isn't it? Let's see if we can't maybe put a hue saturation layer down and play with the hue a little bit. It's probably a bit much. Drop that down. Drop that down. We'll put that back up and lower the opacity. That's not too bad. I want a little bit more blue on the horizon though, and it's still a little bit purplish. We might do an overall. So I've clicked back to the top layer now. Sorry. Click back on that top layer. Go Photo Filter, Stabilizer. Yeah, what was, oh my God. It was hard because all the letters were together. I couldn't read it. Come on, guys, give me a break. Okay, so we're applying a cold photo filter across the entire thing, and that's really working, isn't it? That's actually working quite well. And then we can probably brush a little bit of the blue away from the sky. Okay, so B for brush, and with our black brush, just take a little bit of that blue away from the sky. A little bit. It's not perfect here. I'm going to go to hue saturation. And we'll desaturate to get that kind of blue feel. Almost like a moonscape if you like. That's looking better. And we might add one more photo filter over the top, which is just going to help tie it all together. Which one looks best? That's not bad. That's probably nicer. That's a bit much. That one there keeps a little bit of purple in the foreground. Looking pretty good. Everyone's having a good laugh. I'm glad you're having a good laugh. Robin would love to see Sue Ellen back on. Yeah, absolutely. So would I. Well, we will. Sue Ellen has been working on a lot of incredible stuff lately, including her new set of images and even getting some gear together to set up some tutorials. Hands up if you'd like to sign up and do a tutorial with Sue Ellen while she creates one of her own incredible artworks. Throw your hands up. I certainly would sign up for that. So yeah, if you're interested in that, let me know. And Sue Ellen's here, so she'll be encouraged. Yeah, I'd love to, Sue Ellen. We'll definitely do that. We'll do that in the future. Talk about some images. Be great. All right, we're going pretty good. Although it's been a bit of a muddle today, hasn't it? How's the numbers going? We're probably losing people hand over fist, are we? And just the regulars are sticking by me today. Next, we want to grab this light. Command or Control A. We could cut it out in place. Shall we do that? Let's cut it out where it is, in fact. So press Command or Control D. We'll just cut it out here first. So come over here and click on the lock icon so it unlocks. And I generally like to add a layer mask. Hands up, yes please. Keep putting your hands up for a Sue Ellen tutorial follow along event. Okay. It will be, well, actually it won't be, it more than likely won't be on here. Sue Ellen is creating it as a tutorial series for her website as a paid product, but it's absolutely going to be incredible. We don't know the full details. I don't know the full details, but Sue Ellen is definitely entertaining that thought. So if you're interested, yeah, absolutely put your hands up there. 177, we're going all right. Most of you are sticking around, which is great. Hit the like button. Just give me, I feel like I need a little bit of support today with the like buttons. Okay, now one of the ways you can see this light is nearly a perfect circle, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so we've got our brush, but what we're going to do is I'm going to make my brush hardness. We might even make it 100%. Oh, we might just back it off a little bit. Will we? No, we'll make it 100%. Okay, and we're going to need to cut this out relatively manually. Okay, and look at that. That brush nearly fits perfectly. And it won't fit perfectly everywhere. So I've got a black brush, and at the moment I'm just trying to line up this top left corner here as perfectly as I possibly can. And you'll see it goes outside over on the right there. That's fine. Click once. Oops, undo. I want opacity 100%, flow at 100%. What dis, Harry? Harry, good to see you, mate. What dis? This is, oh, not what dis, what this? This is a little bit of Photoshop manipulation, photo manipulation. Harry, we're trying to create this image that I created earlier, and we're doing it all together. You can find the example images to follow along at home. You've got to be a bit silly and join in the fun and whatnot, fun and games. But that's what we're up to. All right, so 100% opacity, 100% flow. We've got that hardness set already. Line that up, and we'll just go click like that. And then come around, and we'll just kind of get that as good as we possibly can like that. That's all I wanted for the time being. In actual fact, we could probably go a bit further, couldn't we? Let's go and grab our third tool down, the polygon lasso tool. Press L for lasso, or right click on that third tool down and select the polygon lasso tool. And we'll just rough in a little bit more here. Just click on that top corner of that square section, come down like that, grab that corner there. We're just going to pull out this rectangular section. And look, normally I cut these out for you, don't I? And when you want the dots to join together, just double click. And then I can press Shift Delete or Shift Backspace. We get this little menu, and I can select black. And that will, you can see I'm deleting the image away. Sometimes I find it easier to delete the image away rather than, the other way around of bringing it back. And we can do the same here. Or we could use a brush again, B for brush again, because this is slightly curved here, isn't it? Look at that. And look, once we've got most of it, we'll come back and refine it. So we've got that. Get the brush that kind of suits, and we'll go click there. Come over the other side. Click there. That's looking good. Come up to this little round corner. Whoops, B for brush. Use the tools that we have at our disposal. That fits nicely. Get that little round. Get that little round. There's another little round there. Look, I just drew Mickey Mouse. Look at this. Mickey Mouse with a funny top hat with his ears sticking through. Hello. Sure did. Hey, keep the entertainment going today, guys. Can't miss it. You wouldn't miss it for quids, whatever that means. This brush that I've got here fits in quite nicely just there. Maybe a little bit smaller. Oh, it's not perfect, this one, but we'll go click there. We'll come up on that side, click there, and then we've got this little section. Click there. We will refine this in a moment, guys, but it's looking pretty good, Yeah, guys, if you get lost, a lot of this is kind of a little bit complex today. I absolutely understand that, but having a good Photoshop foundation, we're going back to the lasso tool now. And I'm just going to click and drag up through here, across that little section. I don't even know, to be honest, if we're going to down through here, if we're going to use all this, Shift Delete or Shift Backspace, change to, yeah, actually black is what we want, click OK. And we'll get that in a moment. We'll get that bit in a moment, I think. All right, that's great. Command or Control D, making sure nothing is selected. Now press Command or Control I, and you'll see that we've cut out a lot of the brush. What happened there? Command or Control I, hang on. Photoshop's playing up. See that? It didn't reveal the bottom bit, did it? Okay, all right. Now we just need to tidy this up. The light globe itself looks pretty good. Mickey Mouse. Okay, B for brush. All right, let's rough this in. B for brush. White brush now. Let's rough in the bits that I don't have, and we'll come back. See, now I can switch to a black brush and get that to fit in nicely in that little curve there and go bump. Nice little curve there. Bump. Obviously, we need to clean that up there. Okay. We might just do that manually, that section. And we'll do that manually. Okay, we're pretty close, guys. We're pretty close. What I'm going to do is with the black brush, I'm just going to rough that bit right back out. And then make my brush bigger. Let's see if this will work. Switch to a white brush. That was a bit much. Command or Control Z, so I need a smaller brush than that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm just sort of coming around this light globe. Obviously here it sort of comes around like so. That was too much. A little bit there. We might get that manually as well. All right, let's zoom in and just tidy that up manually. B for brush. And this is where it can take a little bit of time. What we can do is click, oh, black brush. I'm doing this with a mouse. Some people might be at home doing it with a Wacom tablet. Just hold down Shift and we can join these little dots together like this. I'll do this relatively quickly, but in actual fact, if I was doing this legit, I would be right in here and just getting it absolutely perfect. I'm zoomed into, what am I zoomed into? 300%. And it just takes some time. It just takes some time. You might have a better way of doing this, absolutely, if you do. I generally find a lot of the time just cutting out manually is the best way to cut. A lot of those quick selection techniques, when it comes to compositing, a lot of those quick selection techniques do an okay job for replacing skies and whatnot. But when it comes to wanting a beautiful hard-edged detail of an element like this light globe, I often find that you just gotta do it manually. I'm not holding down Shift anymore. I'm just doing individual clicks and joining the, and just clicking along the edges here just to remove any of that light grey section. Nearly there. Enthralling YouTube, this section, isn't it, guys? That's the way it goes. It's good to understand how this is done, because if I always gave cut out images, you know, when it came to doing your own work, you wouldn't, I guess you wouldn't maybe understand that there is often a little bit of hard manual labor to be done. One more little bit here and we're on our way. This photo actually is just an iPhone shot when I was at the restaurant. I don't always have my big fancy camera with me, but iPhones these days, if you're only using them as a part of the image, they do a pretty good job. All right, we've got to zoom in here, and we'll just do the same around here. It is a good light bulb, Harry, isn't it? Yeah, I agree with that, absolutely. You can see this straight section, we can drop a point in the corner here, hold down Shift and just get most of that little bit there. And then, look, this section here won't have to be hectically accurate, as I say, with a tiny little brush and zoomed into with a microscope. I'm just using the mouse, just roughly. You won't see much of that detail later. If you're bored, if you're watching this on replay, zoom it out. I mean, speed me up to 2 times. I sound like a chipmunk, which is kind of fun. Anyway, what else are we going to be doing? It's a beautiful day here at Crescent Head. Maybe I'll go for a walk along the beach later. Look at that. Tidied that up quite nicely, haven't we? Same along here. Again, we can click there, hold Shift down, and it will draw that relatively straight line in. Beautiful. Just get that little back to a white brush. There's a little bump I put there. Perfect. Back to a black brush. Not all the raw images, Andy. No, just the light. This light bulb was taken with an iPhone. You know, these days iPhones take a really nice photo. So, you know, if that's all you've got, then absolutely. And I don't always have my nice DSLR camera handy for grabbing a high-res shot. So, you know, just you make do with what you have at that particular moment. Change that brush around. Just get those edges nice and smooth. Look, you don't even have to trace the exact edge. You'll notice with experience when you're doing these composite photos, if you trace just inside the edge, you create your own brand new edge yourself. Okay, so it doesn't really have to be absolutely perfect, as I said. I mean, the more perfect, the better to some degree with some of this stuff. But click there, hold shift down, it will draw that straight edge in. Look at that. Click there, hold shift down, draw that edge in. Look at that. Just zip up through this thread. All right, we are close, guys. We are close to cutting this out. And you'll see, like, for these simple objects, it doesn't take too long, 10, 15 minutes. Cutting out trees is another thing. Who at home, hands up if you've spent over an hour cutting out a single tree. I reckon I think my record would be like up around the 6-hour mark for a really complex tree. That's dedication, hey? But it was worth it in the end. I got a beautiful, clean tree out of it. Terry says cutting out and being precise is kind of tough for me because I'm left-handed. Oh, right. Yeah, I can imagine. Terry, maybe a mouse with a pen might be easier. Oh, there's a little bit more up here. I don't know if we're going to use this, but we'll let's get that little bit. That wasn't a perfect cutout there either. That looks pretty good. Click there, hold down shift. That's a pretty straight line. I said I wasn't going to do it perfect, but I have kind of, haven't I? And look, in actual fact, I don't think this works very well. So let's just have a look what we've got here to play with and then cut it out a little bit better. That's better. That's better. A little bit more of a curve on that. In fact, what I'll do, I might just chop that off there and grab a curved-ish brush back in white. Something that's going to suit that section. See if we can get that to work. Yep, we did. That's quite nice. Interesting shape, but I messed this up, didn't I? Back to black. Click once, hold shift down again. Oh, where's shift? Perfect. Same on the other side. Hold shift down, get those straight lines. Beautiful. Last section, and we'll put this light together and turn it on. All right. Oh, trying to cut out a flock of birds. Try blend if for a flock of birds, Robin. Blend if is incredible for birds. Absolutely incredible. Okay, that looks great, doesn't it? That looks great. Hold down Command or Control. Click on your mask. Okay, that will give you that mask there. Oh, I've missed a bit in the middle there, haven't I? Command or Control D, just to undo that. See that bit I missed? Back to a white brush. Perfect. Command or Control, click on the mask. That will highlight that. Command or Control C should pick up a copy of that light globe. Click on our background image here. Command or Control V. Righto, righto. One of those days, isn't it? I think it's there, but it's just not showing me. If I turn it on and off, no, it's still not there. Okay, all right. That one goes to the trash. Back to the light. What are you doing? Maybe I need to click on the globe instead of the mask. Command or Control C. Sue Ellen at home shaking her head. What are you doing? Got it. No, Sue Ellen wouldn't be judging me like that. All right. Whew. Long session, that one. All right, Command or Control T. And we'll do it from we'll do the big light globe first. Okay, so we'll make that a little bit smaller. We'll rotate that around. Look at this incredible globe. It's better than the original. And I found it myself. And we're going to start with a big one, wherever you like, to be honest. And how big do you want it? Maybe about that big. Maybe a little bit bigger. Do we want it perfectly vertical? I think I do. Yeah, try blend if for a flock of birds. It works really well if they're on a bright sky, which they normally are. Get that as straight as you like. Is that straight? I don't know. It's one of those days today, isn't it, where nothing kind of looks quite right. If I add my rulers, view, rulers, drag one of them out. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. I think that's pretty straight. I think that's pretty straight. Under pressure being live. Yeah, I'm only having, it's going actually pretty well, Sue Ellen, yeah, but it is a bit of pressure being live. All right, let's turn the light on, give it a real good glow. Add a solid color layer. And I mean, to be honest, I don't, I do this in my normal workflow. I don't really know everything and the perfect step for everything. So the fact that I copy and pasted the white section of the mask over, that would be something I would normally do in my workflow, and then, nothing would be said. I would just move over and fix it. And that's exactly what we did here. Let's choose a color, like an orange color, maybe more of a yellow color like that. Beautiful yellow color, quite bright. Yeah, we will. We'll go right up here. Something like that, really, really bright. Click OK. Now remember, if you're doing this for a photo competition, that you need to photograph a bright orange photo of something. Maybe. Read the rules. You're not allowed to add elements into your photographs that are not photographic in nature, and maybe enhancing the light in this way wouldn't be photographic in nature. Better to be safe than sorry, I suppose. Okay. Lower the opacity. Actually, we won't. Let's just leave it like that. Click on the layer mask. Command or Control I to invert. B for brush. It's looking pretty good. We're going to get this nice complementary color scheme going between the blue and the yellow too, aren't we? Which is going to be quite nice. And we can, let's lower our brush down, 25% roughly, 50% flow. And we'll just do a couple of, hold the phone. Command or Control Z twice to get rid of that. Right click, I need my hardness down at 0. You can also access that up here, hardness, 0 via that menu. I need that down at 0. And we'll just go white brush, and we'll brighten up this. Is that called a filament? Hey, I think it might be. Can't spell it. Sometimes I can say words though. Sometimes I can't say, what even was that word I couldn't say? I've forgotten. It's gone. It's gone, guys. You can take raw DNG images on the iPhone with Lightroom. Thanks for that. I didn't know that. I knew there was apps to do that. Absolutely. Okay, so we've just painted over that filament a bit more to get that a bit more brightness. Now, make your brush about, I don't know, let's start that big and do a couple of clicks. And go a bit bigger, couple of clicks. 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 Yeah, we might even make the middle a bit brighter. That looks pretty cool. That looks pretty cool. What do you guys think? Yeah, absolutely. We all make mistakes in the creative process. That's looking pretty good. Have a play with the opacity if you think it's maybe too much and you want to see more of the bright filament in behind there. Yeah, I think I do. I think I do in actual fact. I want to see a little bit more like that. I also think I want to darken down the bottom of the light globe because that's very, very bright there. In actual fact, maybe that, let's just get the arrow, maybe that bright point should go as well. Let's see if we remove that, what happens, or at least dull it down. Click back on the light globe layer, and I'm going to press Command or Control J to duplicate, Command or Control T for free transform, right click, flip horizontal. We will get there, guys, we will get there. Might take us to, we might chase down that record of Friday's 3-hour session. No, I don't think it'll take that long. Although we're over the hour mark, I think it'll take maybe another half an hour, 20 minutes. Okay, so I flip that over. Click OK. And you can see I now have a dancing light globe. Cool. All right, but we can use this to maybe remove the that bright patch there, which is I'm finding a little bit distracting. I'm not sure. Maybe it adds to the three-dimensionality, but I do find it a bit distracting. If we invert that one, B for brush, so Command or Control I, B for brush, zoom in. That's looking cool. I love this light globe. It's a very cool light globe. And with a white brush, we can use the other part, which has now been flipped over, to maybe remove that. Yeah, I do like that. Do you guys like that? Yeah? And we can also maybe do it to remove, you know, or dull off some of these reflections here. And you'll see they kind of transition a little bit between each other. So you'll have to and fro with a black and a white brush to get that perfect, or how you maybe want that. You can just dull them back a little bit like that. Yeah, I think that works. Keeping that dimension, but that seems to work quite nicely. Maybe this one here too, yeah? What do we think? We might just pull that back a little bit too. I mean, you can leave a little bit of that dimensionality if you want by switching to a black brush and just, you know, keep a little bit of that in there like that. That's nice. That's nice. All right, let's add the sun star, or the star, the cross that makes this, you know, really nice. Again, we're going to create it non-photographically though, okay? And it might take a couple of goes, who knows? It's one of those mornings, isn't it? We're going to add a blank layer down near the trash bin. I'm going to have a sip of tea. Down near the trash can, we're going to add that blank layer, okay? And what are we going to do? Blank layer, yes, okay. Let's click on, we're going to paint on this blank layer. Click on, so we've got B for brush, click on the top color on your color palette, and in actual fact, just click on the filament of the light globe. So we get that beautiful bright yellow, perfect. All right. And in actual fact, hold down Option or Alt and click on the visibility icon of that blank layer. So that's all we can see. And then turn the light globe on too, okay? And then what we will do, come out about, I don't know, half a light globe distance out the side here. We do want a strong brush though. We're going to go 100%, 100% with our soft edge brush. Come out about that far. About that far. Click once. Hold down Shift and drag across to an equal amount to the other side. I want that to come down a little bit. Command or Control T. Command or Control T, and just with your arrows, bump that down or up to get it where you think is perfectly central of the light globe. Okay, click OK. All right, now let's motion blur it. Filter, blur. In actual fact, I'm going to add, click down below the light globe, and temporarily I'm going to add a black layer so I can see what I'm doing here. So down below here, and we'll add a solid color in black. Okay, just so we can see what's going on. Click back up to that top layer, which is our side to side starburst, side starburst. All right, click up to the filter menu, blur. Can you tell I don't know what I'm doing? Is it that obvious? Motion blur. And you can see that's currently vertical, but we're going to change that to side, okay? And give it a little bit more distance. Yeah, something like, I feel like 200, 220. Let's run with that, okay? And then to try and get it to stretch out into a star point, we're going to do it again. Filter, motion blur. Just click that motion blur. Okay, that's not too bad. Filter, motion blur, and do it a few times until you're happy. That's pretty good. What if we go filter, blur, motion blur, and do a bigger one now? Yeah, I'm going to free transform this in a moment back. That's okay though. Perfect. Okay, Command or Control T, and we'll make this a little bit smaller. Oh, you went right off the edge, did you? And you disappeared. That's a bit unfortunate, isn't it? Hmm. That is unfortunate. Okay, what we're going to do. If that happened to you again, we're going to start again. We're going to start again. Okay, blank layer. Same brush. We're going to do it in the middle over here. Click once, hold down Shift, do a little line about the width of the globe this time, right? Filter, blur, motion blur. We'll start with something like that. I'm going to do it differently. We'll start with 300, 375 to be exact, and then filter, blur, motion blur. We might do a bigger one. 600, yeah. One more, filter, blur, motion blur. That looks good, perfect. Click OK. That last one is about 1,000, 1,100. Okay, that looks good. That'll be our horizontal. Command or Control J, duplicate that, so we've got a copy of it. Command or Control T, move up to our, or in actual fact, we just right click inside that box and choose flip, where are we? Rotate 90 degrees. Looks good, yeah? Click OK. Hold down Command or Control and highlight both of those two new starburst layers, and we'll press Command or Control G, add them to their own group, and we can call this starburst. Okay. Command or Control T, we now have that, and we can move that into the center like so. Click OK. Turn off that black layer and turn on, well actually we'll delete the black layer out of the way and turn on all those layers below. Pretty good. I think it could be a little bit more intense though, don't you? So let's go to the starburst layer and press Command or Control J. It's probably a bit too much. Lower the opacity of the second one until you're happy. Maybe we could make it a little smaller. What we're going to do, let's put them both into a group now. Again, hold down Command or Control, click on both of those layers, and then Command or Control G to put them both into a group. Command or Control T for free transform. It's a bit long and winded this morning, isn't it? And we'll just make that a little bit, that's better. Maybe a little bit bigger. Just suit your eye. Whatever you think suits your eye, you go with that. Click OK. Now I do want to just create another little hotspot right in the middle of that globe as well. So we'll add one more solid color layer. And again, we want a bright yellow, maybe slightly brighter than before, slightly whiter. Click OK. Click on the layer mask, Command or Control I to invert. Make sure we drop our brush down, 25% roughly, 50% flow, in white. Couple of dobs there, couple of dabs there. I really want that to be burning bright in the middle, just like that. That's pretty good, pretty good. Okay, now we need to, is it working okay? I know it's a bit sort of back and forth this morning, but we're nearly there. In fact, we're very close. What I need you to do is hold down Command or Control now and click on all of these layers that make up your light globe. Okay, all the way down, all those layers there. Then press Command or Control G. That creates a group that we can turn off that light globe or remove it, everything that makes up that light globe. Okay, we can click there and call it light. And now we press Command or Control J for Jelly Bean, and we have two of them. In actual fact, I quite like the way that's glowing, but we might come back and just refine it at the end. And if I now press Command or Control T, you'll see, whoop-de-doo, we get another one. And look, we can create these little tiny ones, even all the way down like this. Maybe we'll create like this sort of river of light globes. Okay, how beautiful does that little one up the top look there? Okay, yeah, back and forth. Everyone's, you know, I'm not making excuses. It's just the way it is, and I think it's a good insight into the creative process. Okay, click back on the main light copy, which is the big one. You want to always generate from the big one, because if I was to duplicate the little one, that's fine for little ones, but what will happen if I duplicate the little one and try and make it big, it will probably, the resolution will be affected. It will be really poor resolution. Click back on the big one, Command or Control J, Command or Control T. Again, you can see I have another copy. Where do we want this one to be? And I'm just dragging in from the edge. If you've got an older version of Photoshop, you need to hold Shift down to maintain the proportions. On the new versions, you can just drag it in like this. You know, where do we want one? We'll put one there. That looks good. Click back on the main version, Command or Control J, Command or Control T. I do like the extra glow in that light when we duplicate, and we'll come back to that a little bit later and add a little bit more. You know, you don't want always all completely separate either. Maybe the main one needs to be separate, but then as we, you know, you do want a little bit of that sort of action going on as well, where you've got one. In actual fact, I probably want the big one. Let's put that one just sort of there for now. But you do want some of those little ones to sort of move behind. Can you copy paste the light globe once selected? I think that's kind of what we're doing now. Gail is just duplicating them and then moving them around. Is that what you meant? Command or Control J, keeping. How did I manage to get all of them to copy then? That was weird, wasn't it? What have I managed to... See that? The Photoshop turned the lights off on me. It's just bizarre. Gremlins this morning. My Photoshop is playing up. I think my motherboard on the computer is going. It's getting a little bit funky and doing things like that. So back on that main one, Command or Control T, sorry, not T, Command or Control J, duplicate that, Command or Control T, and let's put a little one up there, maybe a bit smaller. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. Back on the big one, Command or Control J, Command or Control T. Let's do a little tiny one back here. That looks pretty cool. Back on the big one, Command or Control J, Command or Control T. Just wherever you like. That looks pretty cool. Back on the big one, Command or Control J, Command or Control T. Getting there, guys. We are getting there. And obviously the smaller ones go further into the distance as we go. We have a little rogue one down in this corner maybe. Command or Control J, Command or Control T. Just like that. And they're sort of drifting off into the distance. And we can actually well, you can actually see the edge. I'll zoom in to show you my mistake, and I'm not sure why it's happening, to be honest, because normally the edge of the canvas, I should have had the canvas a little bit bigger. If you're following along later, make it a little bit wider, because what's happening, and this wouldn't be acceptable in a finished piece, but you can see we have cut off a little bit of that light glow, and I'll come back and fix that up later. It'll be fine. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll have a play and create a little bit of depth within this. Back on the big one, Command or Control J, Command or Control T. Back on the big one, Command or Control J, Command or Control T. Need another little one back here somewhere. Okay, as many as you like, as many as you like. Okay, let's have a bit of a play with some of these. I think this one here, we could add a little bit more light, or we can add a little bit more light to a bunch of them. Let's jump to the top layer, right up the top here, click on the top layer, add ourselves a solid color layer, a solid color layer, and then we want a nice bright yellow orange, much like we were using before. Nest, do I use odd numbers? No. Not something I'm overly concerned about unless it's in small numbers like 3s or 5s. Sometimes they can look better. But once I get up into the 10s, 15s and 20s, honestly, the visual appeal of that is going to be much the same. You could argue that that's not the case, but I've never seen any evidence to suggest that, once you get into big numbers, that odd numbers should work better than not. Maybe we could have 3 big ones and 3 medium. Yeah, look, no, I just tend to just freestyle those kind of things. Whatever looks, use your intuition. Whatever you think looks good as you're doing it. We've just inverted that, B for brush, and I want to add a little bit more glow, particularly to the big ones. Just like that. Just like that. Mainly the big ones. And then in actual fact, the little ones, to make them look like they're further off in the distance, we could play with them specifically. If you really, let's just tidy up the crop first of all, actually, because we're nearly finished. Maybe we could drag that up a little bit. Drag that in. I mean, there's no right or wrong to that answer, Ness. Just use your intuition, I think, and sort of whatever you feel looks right. So that little one, just clicking. Maybe I want to duplicate one of these smaller ones. Let's duplicate that one. Command or Control J, Command or Control T, and we'll just sort of tuck it in. Just tuck it in. That sort of takes the perfection away from it. I like it to, if we're going to place everything absolutely perfectly and separated, I like to have just that one that's out. The tree that I use or the photo I use as the example in the 10-minute countdown, one of those branches is touching the roof, and that's the same kind of theory. I like to have that little bit of imperfection in there just so it looks like it's naturally created, even though this is a surrealist style image, which absolutely hasn't been naturally created. I still like that sort of appeal. Now, what we could also do is add, a little bit of a light glow from this light, maybe affecting the foreground there. We could use this layer here even with a very low opacity brush. Nice big brush here. We could create just that sort of a couple of clicks there. Just bump, bump. All right. And I did mention some of these smaller ones should maybe be fading into the background. So let's do that too. This would be where we get really finicky, okay? So there's a smaller one. Click on that smaller one and we can add a curves layer to the top of that. Clip the curves layer down. And we can just take a little bit of the light away maybe. We can also, and this is getting a bit technical, but we can also maybe add another clip layer to that, or even do a photo filter in like a blue so that it sort of starts drifting closer into the horizon. Actually, I want that to be clipped as well. Clip that down, clip, clip, and in a cooler color. Okay. So see how that one now looks like it's a bit further in the distance? Before, after. You could do that to a lot of the smaller ones here. That's a bigger one, bigger one. We won't go into that, but you could absolutely do that as well. I did like, when I applied that warming filter, I quite liked it across the entire image. Let's have another look. Photo filter. Yeah, it gives like a purplish tinge, doesn't it? 2:30 watching. Well, you missed all the fun stuff, a lot of you guys, when I was mispronouncing names and forgot to turn my microphone on and all that fun and games at the start. Jump back and have a look. But I think, look, it's completely different, isn't it? But it was different images, but it has the same kind of feel. I kind of think I want a bit more purplish in the background. Let's just tweak that. Imperfection is good, Glenda. Absolutely, as an artist, we should be striving for it. Not in a way that takes away from our images, but a way that enriches our images. Absolutely, imperfection is a great thing. The balance is, which imperfections do we leave and which do we take out? Because leaving like wonky horizons or dust spots might not be the imperfections we're talking about, but having little things like a one light globe behind another, absolutely, absolutely. That might be something. Let's see if we can get I'm just coming back. Where do I want to be? What I'm going to do is tidy this up a little bit. Let's add all of these layers here into, I want a bit more of a purple tinge in the background. So I'm trying to figure out where I should do that. And if I turn off, let's just turn off a bunch of these top layers. I'm just seeing where the first light is. Okay, there's the first light. Click on the layer that's below the first light, and I'm going to add like a solid color in soft light in a purple. Yeah, it was a bit roundabouts today in the creative cycle, but it sort of shows what the real creative process is. And if you're a little unsure about layers and masks and clipping layers, etc., then absolutely sign up for the course down below in the description. There is my most popular beginner Photoshop workflow, which teaches layers and masks, and all the foundation of Photoshop is down there, and it's now choose whatever price you like, including $0 if you can't afford anything. And then once you completed that, you can move on through to the intermediate and advanced. If anyone's wanting to move on to intermediate and advanced, I currently, for the next few days, have 50% off that too. So just email me if you're interested in, completing that foundation of Photoshop. adam@easywayphotography.com is the email. I want a little bit of a purple here. And we'll change this to soft light. Okay, that's quite nice. But double click, it's not perfect. Oh, they're intense, aren't they? I want a little bit of blue, a little bit of purple. I don't like it in the foreground, I just like it in the sky, but we'll just paint it into the sky. Click on the mask there, Command or Control I, B for brush. Nice big brush, 20%. We'll just put a hint of purple into there. I like a hint of purple in my astro images. It gives it a little bit more interest when it's not all blues, I feel. Didn't want so much of it right there. We could even let's add a little bit of another color, maybe a bit of red as well. Let's try a photo filter in red. Deep red. Maybe. What about just normal red? Yeah, maybe. We'll just add a little bit. Command or Control I. We'll just add maybe a little bit there. Whoop, white brush. Okay, and in actual fact, what if we Command, Option, Shift E? I'm going to do a mid-level merge up here and take this, another technical thing. We've now merged those layers together. If you're on a Windows machine, that will be Control, Alt, Shift, E for everything. That will merge together. We'll come up to the filter menu. This will be one of the last steps here, guys. Camera raw filter. It essentially takes us back to the Lightroom functionality or the camera raw functionality. And I'm wondering what a little bit of what's it called? Clarity is going to do, and maybe a little bit of white point adjustment. If you like your stars really popping out like that, maybe we do. And I think it looks quite nice. A little bit of white point up, a little bit of clarity up. Click OK. And you'll see before, after, just a little bit. A little bit. Let's turn all the lights back on, all the layers above. I think we're done. I think we're done. It's not exactly the same, guys. Let's have a look at the piece I created before. Look at that. Completely different colors, completely different feel. You know, using stock images. And then we've created something very, very close. It's a little bit purple now that I look at that, isn't it? Let's just tweak that back a little bit to the blues. So once again, come down here to where we have the photo filters, and we'll add hue saturation, clip that down, and just tweak the hue here. Oh, doesn't seem to be doing much, does it? Why aren't you working? Why aren't you working? Delete that. Let's click here and try it. Hue saturation. Clip that down. Is it going to work? All right. See where we have this astro image right there? 1 second. Actually, if you've got any questions, guys, post them on there and I'll answer them at the end here. See where the astro image is there? I've just clipped a hue saturation directly to that so that we can maybe get a bit of balance between. I'm going to push that back to about there and then brush it in where I like it. Command or Control I to invert. Using our brush here, I want more of that bluish color in the foreground, just like that, and less of it in the background. Perfect. Perfect. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that, guys. We started with that, essentially. We added the stars and a bit of colorization to the background, built the background first. As we come up through here, get that color right, and then we added one light, cut that out, and then we just duplicated that, basically copied it lots of times. And we got there. We got there in the end. It was a bit of a long-winded, roundabout way with lots of embarrassing moments. Probably my most embarrassing video, really. Anyway, Leonie asks, how did you add the texture to the bottom in the original image, please? I guess it was just part of the image. We're talking about that texture there. It was just part of the image. We haven't laid any textures at all. That was just part of the original image that we got that particular texture. Yeah, as Jane says, it was part of the originals. You can download and follow this along via the link below. As I said, it requires you put your email in and join the email list, which you'll get lots of incredible information, tips and updates about all these different YouTube tutorials that we're doing. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy coming and having a laugh and watching me bumble around and do some, well, rather interesting Photoshop techniques. Where did that light globe go? Oh, there's one missing. Where's the other one gone? There he is. There she is. They're back. Yeah, hit the subscribe button. Hit get notifications as well. If you've enjoyed this video, please, I'd love it if you could click the like button. That would be absolutely incredible and let YouTube know that this is worth watching. Share and tell your friends. Share the channel with your friends and tell them to come and join us as well. Guys, thanks for being here. This will be a challenge. Yeah, it was a challenge. It was absolutely a challenge for me as well. But see if you guys can replicate it. Jump over and share it in the Easy Way Photography group in Facebook. If you manage to get it to come together, you can probably get a better job than I do, to be honest. Glad you enjoyed it. Oh, Thursday. What's coming up on Thursday? We have an incredible inspirational photographer by the name of Clayton Hares. One of my all-time favorite photographers is coming on with his inspirational photography. You may not have heard of Clayton, but I'm sure you're going to be really interested in the style and nature of his photography. Declan, my pleasure. Thanks for joining us. Everyone else, thanks for joining us. I'll see you. I won't be back tomorrow, but I'll be back on Thursday. Tell all your friends to come and join us on Thursday. Tuesday for Photoshop, Thursday for interviews with photographers, and we'll get Sue Ellen back on to discuss a few of her most popular, just have a chat about her most favorite images. We'll do that in the next month or so. All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you Thursday with Clayton Hares. Bye, guys.